Unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time. So I was born in Canada, Calgary, Alberta, Canada, to be exact, in 1967. And when I was 10 days old, I moved to the United States. And boy, was I glad to be out of Canada. Those first 10 days and the politics up there drove me crazy. Did you know that Canada, since 2017 is when Canadian Supreme Court ruled that it was not cool to not let people kill themselves. And I know that by saying those words, I guess I'm going to be blacked out from the algorithm, but who cares? Anyway, since then, they called it the Medical Assistance in Death. MAID. MAID. Have the maid kill you. MAID. Medical Assistance in Death. They said, okay, look, if you want to get a little Kevorkian buddy, we will be Kevorkian for you. You just go to your local dentist or your local healthcare practitioner and you have a headache, euthanasia. Why not? It's insane. I've been in the discussion many times. I'm sure you guys have too. People go, well, if somebody wants to die, they're in a lot of pain, they have cancer, isn't it better to just end the suffering? And, what about autonomy, freedom to do this? And, we had those discussions around Kevorkian for a long time. Medical assisted suicide is what they call it here. MASS, with one S, MASS, which also means more. I used to have a position where I thought, well, look, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it, and you may as well make it less messy and blah, blah, blah. But I've changed my position on that. Like, the second you create an incentive for somebody else, what happens is if you say, okay, it's okay to have somebody else help you end your life. Well, that creates a profession. It creates an industry. It creates a whole industry of people that go, I would like to help people die. Drugs pop up, T-shirts, merch pops up for this industry. And any industry that pops up will grow. Well, not any, but there's a tendency for people at the helm of any job to want to grow their business. Oh, we don't have enough customers. We need more customers. And that is what has happened in Canada. The first year, they murdered, they murdered 10,000 of their own people. It was the fourth leading cause of death in Canada. 10,000 people. I didn't look up the population of Canada. You can do that yourself, but, that's like 9/11 times, 3 at least, almost 4? Just, you don't feel good. You don't want to take the rest of your cancer treatments. You want to get out without wasting away. Look, I can actually respect that. I'm not going to argue with somebody that is in tremendous pain. But the fact that you've included somebody else in that decision, to me, is low morals. And the person who appoints themselves as somebody to be the helper for money, it'd be one thing if people were going, look, I don't think we should I think we should have this, but it should be a spiritual thing, and nobody should be incentivized to end somebody else's life. That would seem to be kind of rational to go, we can't have this be a for-profit industry because that inherently creates incentive for more people to die. And we probably shouldn't do that unless we're diabolical. If we're diabolical, then yes, if we want to kill lots of people, then this is exactly how you would do it. You would incentivize death. And this is also why I'm against abortion too. It's like, I've said it many times in this channel, I'll say it again. If you're going to kill yourself, if you're going to do that, do it by yourself. Don't involve anybody else. Don't tether your anchor, your weight, your final last deed to their life, because you don't know how it's going to affect them. And not only that, you don't know how it's going to affect their neighbors. I can just kind of guess, but I think if you're a person that puts people to death for a living. In fact, there are statistics on this. The people, one of the highest turnover rates in the world, one of the worst jobs in the world are these people that have to euthanize stray animals. It's been years since I looked up the statistics or was aware of them, but it was something alarming. And it wasn't alarming in that you would expect that people that are involved in every day putting down healthy, beautiful, wonderful pets, these precious little animals, that would be a job that would have blowback, personal blowback for the people that are doing it. Very low job satisfaction rates. And let me just tell you, in an industry like that, if you find one guy who really loves his job, keep an eye on that guy. You think Megan's List is important? I think guys who enjoy putting puppies to sleep, that's a map I want to see. But yeah, the same thing holds true if you find out that, oh yeah, my next door neighbor, he's a doctor and he's injected 1,000 people over this last year. He just killed them. You want that guy as a neighbor? Some of you might. But anyway, to date, Canada, since 2017, has killed almost 100,000 people. Almost 100,000 people have been just unremarkably canceled by their government. Like, oh, you don't feel so good. Oh, you're depressed. At first it was it always starts out this way. Only the most dire circumstances where the person is shooting blood from their eyes but gradually it's, you got a headache? Well, how about suicide? How about euthanasia? Can we interest you in a maid? And that's what's kind of happened. And lots of people are talking about it. And of course, you're going to find people that are going to go, it's not really like that, blah, blah, blah. Won't you look at the statistics? Well, I have. And while it's true that like 60% of them are over 77 or over 70, a lot of people have good lives. There's lots of years left. There's lots of wrapping up you can do. Anyway, there's lots of things to talk about here. It's my opinion that both of my mom kicked the bucket in 2022, and I think she just went out early. She decided she didn't want to live anymore, and she enlisted my younger sister to medically assist her in kicking the bucket. And my stepdad did the same thing. And the way that works is what is the drug they use? It's kind of like a narcotic. They use it on my dad and they use it on my mom. And anyway, once you get on it, there's no coming back because you're just put into a daze and then you slowly just dehydrate. And the hospice care is really, in the U.S., it's just kind of managed. It's not as instant. It's not one shot. It's just over the course of 3 or 4 days. You give them the drug that I'm forgetting the name of for some reason, very popular drug. He called it barbiturate, an opioid. I don't know. But yeah, they gave it to my mom. They gave it to my dad. And once you're on that, you're in a daze and you're so looped out that you can't really even say, you know what? I changed my mind. I want to hang out for until God calls me home. I don't want to preempt this. My dad had no intention of going out. I talked to him on my birthday. We had a nice discussion. He was 86. But he thought he had he thought he had enough time left to write another book. But then he had a little fall. Out comes the drug that I'm forgetting the name of. He's loopy, and then his decline is managed for the next 3 or 4 days until he's dehydrated and dies. What happened to my mom? What happened to my dad? And so while we don't have it here in the United States, we have it here in the United States. I have a feeling that most old people, once hospice shows up, it's like, oh, okay. We're just not dealing with it directly. And you can, have your discussions about it this way or that way, about how you feel about it. I'm not super upset about it, but I do feel like I think my mom could have stuck around for 4 or 5 more years, and we were kind of on a path to reconciliation, and I thought we had kind of reconciled, but then I was disinvited from speaking at her, under her own wishes. I was not allowed to speak at her funeral. Big fight with my sister. She was the henchman. She was the one that had to enforce my mom's will. But, here I am thinking that my mom's finally becoming a human, and we're getting along, and she kind of sees her way off the planet, with her final thing being, and by the way, I don't want you talking at my funeral. I'm like, okay. So I think we had about a few more years of work to do on reconciliation. I don't think she fully got the whole thing. Anyway, why am I bringing this up? Well, I don't know. The YouTube algorithm is doing some really crazy things lately. It started in December, and I think a lot of us have been commenting on it. Gemini has taken over, how it recommends things and how it hooks things up. And, it goes all across Google, because Gemini is a Google product. So anything you're connected with your Google account, if you're signing things into Google, you have these backdoor permissions in your phone and your contacts, and who knows what else it's reading, and your text. So I leave a lot of, each day I'm making one of these recordings about, at least every other day. And sometimes I forget what I've said on a recording or what I've said in voicemails to other people. And this is kind of the way I communicate. I leave mostly voice messages now to people. And so each day I probably leave at least an hour's worth of messages if you combine them all to various people over various conversations. And sometimes I can't remember whether I said something in one of those recordings or on this YouTube channel. So forgive me if I repeat stuff. But some of the conversations I've been having have been about, what's the dignified way to go out? What's the, and I remember having a conversation, whether it was here or with somebody else, about how I kind of like these guys that just kind of go off into a boat and they never come back, or they go up in the mountains and, I'm getting to the age where a lot of people are dropping off. It's like each time you log into Facebook, you find somebody else has kicked the bucket, So you end up thinking about these things, how you can get around the cost of death, caskets, and what's the coolest way. So I've been having these discussions, and YouTube, whether it's because they know the contents of these recordings that I'm leaving here, the transcripts, or from other products I'm using, it's like they just keep feeding me more and more. It's like, oh, you like that? You like talking about death? Well, here's a video about death. Oh, you like talking about Epstein? Oh, well, here's some scary. Oh, you're talking about cannibals the other day. Oh, well, here's a cannibal video you might like, you know? Oh, you like true crime things? Well, here you go. Here's a true crime thing about a cannibal that, oh, you like talking about transgender stuff. Well, here's a transgender cannibal, blah, 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 from Canada. It's like, and by the way, I want to apologize on behalf of Google and YouTube. I've not been given this mantle, but I know that for probably a lot of you, I know this happens to me, where I listen to somebody's channel. I listen to a recording, and I go, I kind of like it. I listen to it all the way through. Maybe I didn't even like the whole recording, but I go, okay, I was doing something else, and the whole video finished. And then suddenly in my recommendations on my Roku, it's like, oh, you like that video? Well, here's 10 more from that person's channel. And I'm like, I don't need, look, I listened to one recording from that person's channel, and now you're recommending 20 recordings. It's like my entire recommendations is that. And I sometimes think, I feel sorry for people that listen to one of my recordings because I'm all over the map. Sometimes I'm talking about celebrity friends. Sometimes I'm talking about deep, dark shit like this. Sometimes I'm talking about puppies and building trucks, So I imagine other people are seeing my stupid cassette tapes on their recommendations. And if they're anything like me, they're like, unfollow, do not recommend this channel anymore. Just because, look, and that's sometimes you have to do that to just get rid of it. It's like, I like the one video. I don't need 20 more. But anyway, that's what YouTube likes to do. It's like, it's weird. It's like, oh, yeah, you like crack? Well, here's some crack. You want this crack? Well, maybe you like fentanyl too. How about some heroin? Would you like some heroin? Yeah, I mean, people who are interested in fentanyl are often do meth next. It's like, maybe this isn't good, YouTube. Maybe stop listening to all my conversations and assuming that what I talked about today is what I want to talk about for a year. But I watched a video today about some guy named Mark Latunsky? Something like that. What is it? Let me look. I'm actually still on my TV. Well, it was, but I don't see it anymore. Family records and more at any information he can get. Yeah, Mark Latunsky. Turn that back off. He's a guy who, I'm watching the Explore With Us, the guy that has the deep voice, likes to make everything creepy, but this guy's plenty creepy on his own. He's a guy that is charged with murdering this little gay fella named Kevin Bacon, no lie. Kevin Richard Bacon, Kevin Dick Bacon. And he's like this little round-headed gay fella who looks just like this guy I know in San Francisco was just a bad guy. Like a guy that's in his 40s, but he has the shape of a head of an infant, a round head with infant-like features. And he had this Hitler haircut, goth guy. I can't remember his name, but just a not good guy. But anyway, this Mark Latunsky guy is this guy who wears a kilt, red flag, a leather kilt, red flag number 2, shaved head on the sides with a long braided ponytail in the back. There's about a billion red flags. But what it ultimately comes down to is he's making the claim in this police interrogation video that this Kevin Bacon guy wanted to die, and he went to him and said, will you kill me and eat part of my flesh and turn the rest of my flesh into tulip bulbs and soil for some trees that can be then given to my family. They won't even know about it, but they'll have tulips that were grown. Anyway, if you watch the guy's video, you can kind of think it's plausible that this scenario worked. of course, Explore with Us, the people, they don't want it to make it. They want to make Latunsky look like the most devious, devilish person that ever was. And I think he is. But what's kind of mind-blowing about this video is that everything he's saying in it, this guy wanted to kill himself, I wanted to respect his wishes, this is what I did, this is how I did it, I went to Walmart, bought this knife, I hung him upside down, slashed his throat, let him bleed to death into this sand that I was going to put in the flower bed. I bought a dehydrator to make his body into jerky because he wanted me to eat him, and I said that I would, and I'd already eaten a little part of him. Graphic, horrific stuff. But if you take out the jerky part and the garden part, he's basically just making the exact same argument that the Canadian government is making. You know? But this guy, he just killed one guy. The Canadian government has killed nearly 100,000 people using pretty much the exact same rationale. The big difference being that Mark Latunsky did it off the books. He didn't have a license. He was a do-it-yourselfer. He was a hobbyist, you know? And this gets marketed around like he's a monster. And he is a monster. I don't mind that part. But how on earth can you make this video and not mention government-assisted suicide? GAS. That's what they should call it. Government-assisted suicide. I just came up with that, by the way. Pats on the back for me. How can you not have the conversation at the same time? This is what I've been annoyed with the Epstein files. It's just like, okay, everybody's focused on that. Yes, you're focused on that. I get it. It's evil, but are you trying to do anything about the OnlyFans? Teenagers that are marketing themselves, you know? Are you doing anything about the young men in the world who are watching the OnlyFans and giving up their money and not going out and having babies because of OnlyFans? We get distracted with the YouTube video, the Explore with Us, the Epstein, the salacious tabloid thing, but we don't do anything about what's going on underneath our nose everywhere. You know? And I'm not trying to say everybody needs to go out and save an OnlyFans model. But doesn't that seem like it would be more effective than screaming and crying and posting about Epstein and everything? Or, you know, maybe go, you know, how about take a kid out of school so he's not, you know, so there's not, your little girl or your little boy is not in school with a guy with rainbow hair that's teaching kindergarten and trying to talk to your kid about their genitals and trying to get them confused and create this mass. I have this new operating theory. This whole gender dysphoria thing that we're seeing, I'm going under the theory that we're all operating under a mass gender dysphoria. Maybe I already said this. But everybody is confused to one level or another about their gender. We've been screwed with for so long. Feminism has been around for about 100 years now, and everybody's confused about what their gender roles are. Men don't know what they're supposed to say to women. Women don't know what they're supposed to say to men. They don't know what is a man like, what is a woman like, what are they, you know, it's not just the people that are chopping off their wieners and slicing off their boobs, it's everybody. It's all the men that are thinking they need to be more sensitive. It's all the women that think they need to be tough, you know, that they need to do manly jobs and they're just as, they can do this. It's like mass gender dysphoria and mass delusion about the sanctity of life. Even though those of us that have decided intellectually to be against abortion, or against the death penalty for the same reason, by the way. I physically and mentally think there are a lot of people that probably deserve to die. But are there people that deserve to have the job of killing them? That's my big problem. Anybody that volunteers and say, I'll do it, I go, okay, I appreciate your sacrifice, but I also kind of want to know why you want that job. And I also want to know where you live and where you are and whether or not I'm going to be standing next to you. I want to know how thrilled you are about killing. Because those kinds of lusts and those kinds of desires and those kinds of inner thoughts I don't think they just stay in the workplace. Maybe. I remember when I had an art job, the last job I ever had that I got fired from in 1991. When I had that job doing art, computer art, I'd do art all day, and then when I'd go home, I didn't do any more art. Whereas usually I was always doing art. But when I had that job, my own artistic output decreased because I was doing art at work all day. So maybe you could make the case that, a guy that's killing people all day goes home and he goes, I don't want to kill tonight. I killed all day at work. I'm taking the night off. I just want to watch Friends. Maybe. But anyway, some more about the statistics of Canada. As you know, I've been focusing in on tribalism for the past, 6 months, maybe a year on this channel. Finally having given up on individualism because the statistics are undeniable. White kids aren't. Come on, they're murdering other white people. They're not having babies. They're incredibly demoralized. Our population is shrinking. And so when I looked up these statistics about Canada and the medical assistance in death made, I'm calling it GAS, government-assisted suicide. It turns out about 96% of the people who are murdered by their government are white. 96%. Canada's population is only 70% white. Okay, 70% white, but 95%. What is that evidence of? Is it evidence that white people are stupid? Maybe. Is it evidence that white people are just too wussy about death, that they just don't want to face it and they just rather take themselves off the map, or not even doing it themselves, but having a doctor do it? Maybe. But why? Why? I think it's clear why. It's because white people have been targeted with this bullshit. We're still being targeted with this bullshit. I don't know who's behind the algorithms, but they're not telling us, and they're not telling me. I don't know if it's healthy. I've been kind of just as an experiment, just going, okay, YouTube, we'll go with your rhythm. We'll go with your flow. You're introducing stuff to me. You're giving me, I'll just look at this stuff. Is it healthy? Probably not. It's probably not that healthy that I'm talking about these things and then getting recommendations based on what I'm talking about, getting more putting me in a loop, a feedback loop. But who's doing that and why? And are they doing it to everybody? We're all the same. We're all getting the same thing. Are we? Are we? Or is the messaging very specific to white people? Demoralize the white people. Well, again, there's a certain tribe that felt really targeted in World War II. And while 85 million people 85 million people died in World War II. For the last 85 years, however long it's been, we hear about 6 million of them. As if it's the only lives that mattered. The only lives that mattered. And we're completely trained on this. I mean, how long can you go in a conversation about anything dark or political without referencing Hitler and without the Jews? I talked to my sister last night. She called me up and she was like, I just don't know what to do. My son, told me I must denounce Trump or he hates me. I'm kind of summarizing. But he's all just angry. She goes, I don't understand how these people are so consumed with hatred. He is looking for a reason to hate me, and I don't want to give it to him. But I don't want to, we had this discussion. And in this discussion she had with him, she goes, because he was talking about all the things, the reason why Trump is the devil, because of ICE, because of immigration, because of he's turning all our allies against us and blah, blah, blah. He's a low info voter who probably isn't really that interested in politics. These are the people that the mainstream stuff hits their feed and they just believe it. Trump is bad, Orange Man bad. And he's got a wife that's maybe has some dubious immigration status stuff. They're married and he's a citizen. But you can understand the guy getting fear for that. But the targeting, you must denounce him or else you are evil. And in his conversation with my sister was going, you know what, I'm trying to just avoid politics. I'd rather not talk about politics with you. You're my son. I love you, and I'd rather just avoid the topic. And he says, well, you're just like the people who ignored what was happening to the Jews. Quite an emotional punch. You're like the enablers. You're like a Nazi who turned their back on the Jews. And he's saying this in relation to, if we don't get outraged about ICE, we're the same as that. Quite a comparison, but what I want to draw this back to is 85 million people died in World War II. 85 million. And yet, every white person that's listening to this, when they think about World War II, they think about one thing: the Jews. That's it. And the evil man, and the story of the plight of 6 million, 6 out of 85 million. And the other 85 million never even get a whisper. And if they do, it's Tom Hanks, doing the best he can to free the Jews. It's still about them, though. It's still about Germany. It's never about Japan. It's never about the war between Germany and Russia. It's never about anything else. It's only about Germany and the Jews. And it's only from one side. And all of us have that. You don't think that has something to do with why 95% of the people that are deciding to kill themselves because they have a headache in Canada are white? You don't have that the birth rates among white people, the hiring rates amongst white people are just so low. The morale, the targeting of Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk and TPUSA because they're white, And they're being targeted by black lady, gay Jewish guy, another gay Jewish guy, another Jewish guy, Mark Levin. Jews, 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 constantly tearing down white people. Tearing apart their families. It's just kind of insane if you think about it, that this white kid, raised by a white mom and dad, super white mom and dad, in his anger against Donald Trump for ICE, references something that didn't happen to him in his lifetime. He's like, 30 years old, 35 years old or something, younger. And it's about the Jews. That tells a story right there. It's like he didn't know that he was revealing his own programming, and that we're all probably doing it, and we've probably all done it a million times. And it's just standard issue. Just standard. It's just like political discussion, argue. Nazi, you're a Nazi. You don't care about that. You're anti-Semitic. I mean, this discussion, this topic, merely the question of were 85 million people who died in World War II, and we only talk about the Jews. Why? That question is, screeching and weeping and wailing, and it's so anti-Semitic you can't even ask it. And you of course, you're the one that asks it because you're white. You see, you white devil, you blue-eyed white devil. I don't know how I got from the guy who was murdering the twink. But I don't know. I kind of feel like that programming, the salacious stuff, the Epstein, the tabloid stuff, and I hate saying it's a distraction because people always say that. It's a distraction from the Epstein files. It's a distraction from this. I go, no. These stories, these crime stories are often just ways to keep us from considering the fact that, oh God, what's the number? The millions. Oh, it's just alarming. When you look at the numbers of people that don't exist on the planet right now because of abortions, each one of those fetuses, with every bit of the miraculous potential that you and I have, just snuffed out by an industry that says, oh, no, it's healthcare. It's healthcare. Abortion is healthcare. Murder is healthcare. Suicide is healthcare. It's healthcare. We're taking care of your health by killing you. You'll be healthy if we kill you. All dead things are healthy. Look at the ground. The dirt is healthy. And it's just nonstop from every direction. Even when you're conservative, even when you don't believe those things, we've been trained to make carve-outs, and we've been trained to, anything until it looks anything like Hitler, or until it's, we need to put on the brakes as soon as World War II comes up because you're white and you're bad, and the Jews, and who cares about the 85 million other people? Who cares about your uncle? And even if you do, I mean, how many times has a person been accused of being a racist and they say, I fought and died to free the Jews? Well, you're white still, and you still have to tie it back to the Jews. That's the important part. As if that's the only thing that matters. The only tribe that matters, No wonder white people are depressed. No wonder they're not breeding. We're all programmed. And we're all just accepting this noble stuff. I mean, you should watch that video, I already said it earlier. What's it? Lutaski? No. Latuski? Something. Find it. Guy murders twink, eats part of him, dungeon, gay, all the red flags, blah, blah, blah. Oh, but even, like I'm saying, like even in that video, nobody wants to criticize, because the guy's got a husband, and his husband, that phrase coming out of my face is the gender dysphoria that we're all experiencing. That phrase isn't making us all laugh right now. We're not laughing. We've accepted the phrase, his husband. It's not causing giggles. We just go, his husband. And we go, okay. Anyway, his husband didn't know anything about it. Yeah, okay. He literally, anyway. Yeah, we're all experiencing mass gender dysphoria, mass anti-white racism. And I don't know what we got to do to wake up out of it. I think we are slowly, but I don't think the algorithms are necessarily helping. In my experience, YouTube would rather I didn't talk about this. They'd rather just me talk about the celebrity that I knew and I didn't like. And if I call a celebrity a douchebag or tell a story about a celebrity who's a douchebag, YouTube goes, oh, yeah, I know a lot of people that will like this one. Yeah, you call Gavin Rossdale a douchebag. I'm going to show this video to his fans. This will piss him off. Keep him talking about Gavin Rossdale, Gwen Stefani. It's kind of creepy, but that's kind of what the algorithm looks like to me. You know? Ooh, what'd you say? What'd you say about Gavin? Oh. You know, that's kind of the thing. It's like I want to keep telling the truthful stories about my life and everything. And in a weird way, it is kind of fun when a video gets watched a lot, but not really, because, you know, YouTube just goes out and delivers it to his fans. And then, well, yes, it's like 2,000 people watched it. This isn't a huge amount on YouTube, but I would guess that half of those people that listen to it, first of all, I can see the stats. They turn it off right away as soon as they start hearing talking shit. I don't want to hear this. I like Gavin Rossdale, you know? Thumbs down, beat it. I don't know. I just feel like the whole thing, algorithms, I don't think they're good for us. I think they're probably doing bad things to us. I think they're depressing us. I think they are contributing to 96%. That statistic in Canada of people, of white people, they're white people. They're all white people. Why aren't the East Asians, you know, asking to end their lives at the same rate? Why are they so underrepresented? Because they're smart, or because they're just not targeted the same way? I mean, I'll just point out one more thing. Zelensky is Jewish. And the Ukraine is not. Ukraine is not Jewish. It's mostly Christian. Russia is mostly Christian. Zelensky, is my estimation, has one purpose, and that is to throw as many white Christians into the meat grinder as he possibly can. Look, all across Europe, the white countries all are now being invaded by non-whites. And if you say anything about it, you're a Nazi. It's insane. It's going on underneath our nose everywhere. White people are being demoralized and targeted for extermination, literally. You know, you can write 1 million articles about white fragility and why white people are bad, why we need to end whiteness. But if you talk about it and you notice that the people who wrote the articles are Jewish, or that Hollywood's doing it, and it's run by Jews, oh, well, you're anti-Semitic. No recommendation for you. Suppress that. Suppress it. You know? It's look, I'm just excited. I'll tell you, this is going to be a weird little twist here, but I'm so excited about the possibility that AI will kill Hollywood and kill publishing as we know it. It really does make me excited. With each update I see to the technologies and how it's just getting easier and easier to give it some input, and say, I want you to make this for me. This is a story I want to tell, do it. It's getting better and better at figuring out what you want and just executing what we're so close to just being able to hand over AI. Like I thought about this earlier today, or I thought about it a couple weeks ago, but it came up in a discussion today, about how, I've been making all these little recordings about my life and my experiences. I don't want to sit down and write a book. I don't even think that reading a book is the best thing to do with your time. But if I wanted to write a book of my life, I like the idea that there's probably already an AI tool that I could say, hey, here's a link to my channel, right? Just look at my channel, read all the transcripts. I'll give you some other backgrounds. Here's some pictures of me. Here's where I was. Can you write just a biography? I want it to be no more than 200 pages long. Just a cohesive biography of my life with my language and my tone and my delivery. Clean it up, do the punctuation, get the grammar, polish it up a little bit, but not too much. Keep my voice. It could do it. Okay, it could do it. It could spit out that book. I could read it. I could have it read it to me. I could go, no, I don't like that part. Change this part to that, And it could just be done. And with, we're even not even far away from the time where I could just say, now, instead of writing a book, just make a movie of it. Here's some pictures of me. I've already been doing this, by the way, with AI, just taking old photographs of when I was a child and animating them because I don't have any movies of me and my family as a kid. And I've just been thinking this is the way I want to do music videos. Instead of trying to cast somebody else, you just cast a former version of yourself. Make it very personable, or your sister or your brother or whatever, people you know. Totally possible now. And in an undetectable way. Some of these videos that I've been making of just animating snapshots of me as a kid, and then I say, okay, make me as a 4-year-old playing piano or ukulele or whatever. There's no way you don't know it's AI unless there's something else that rings a bell. It's totally believable. So we're not far off from a point where I could just say, hey, look at my YouTube channel or look at this YouTube channel and make an entire movie, a film about their life so that I can just sit back and watch it on demand. And I might be the only person to ever watch that movie, and there's a whole discussion that could be had about that, whether that's good or bad. But competition is just about to get really severe for Hollywood, and I couldn't be happier. Like that song that I put at the end of my recording yesterday, I love that I could have AI. I played the piano and I sang and I played some ukulele on it, but I wanted a string arrangement. I wanted some harmonies from a wispy, airy female singer, and I did it, and it did a fantastic job. It did a better job than it would do with my friends. I have a good friend that can do beautiful string arrangements, and he has done it, and he's great, and I love him. But I was always nervous about asking because he had to get his friend, and they multi-track and do this and blah, blah, blah. And I love that, but I always felt like I was imposing on him, and you kind of just got to get what you can get. And now I can do it without having to bother him or worry about whether or not he likes my song or worry about whether he is hating working on my song or not. And same with the singers. I can ask a friend to sing on a song, but I don't have any idea whether they even want to sing on the song or whether they like it or not or whether I'm imposing, But now I don't have to do that. And these are the people that I like. Not to mention all the artists that I've known that I don't like. And that's most of them, quite frankly. Artists are hard to like, you know? They have all these reasons to argue with you about your vision and, why you shouldn't do it. And just, it becomes this chore. Just like, can we just get this done? It's just a piece of art. It's not a big deal. We don't need to argue about it. But so, yeah, it doesn't bum me out that AI is putting those people out of work. I hate to say that, but it's like you were lucky while you got paid to do it in the first place. You probably shouldn't have been. And that's, quite frankly, the reason why you were is because there was an engine and a bunch of people in Hollywood that either selected you and what you're doing to push forward, or they didn't. There's always been this the gatekeeping in Hollywood. And whether it's the record industry or whatever else, or even the algorithms. But now we're getting that all bypassed. And it's going to be really hard for them to control it. I know I got off on a tangent, but I'm trying to bring some hope to this dreary message. A lot of people are scared about AI. And I'm saying, I don't think so. I think I think it represents a tool to, if nothing else, to offer an alternative to the brainwashing machine known as Hollywood and all the press and all the media. People, you, listener, you can, if you want to, create some art that sounds wonderful with just a little bit of guidance. You can go to Suno and you can write your own song, you can write your own lyrics, or you can just say, you know what, I want a song about this topic. I want it to cover these things, and it will help you do these other things. And the more you infuse yourself into it, the more likely it's going to move somebody, But the fact that you can do it without having to ask permission from a bunch of people, a bunch of snobby, snooty artists that are going to tell you that you're not good enough or your idea sucks, or there's all those people, you can make an end run around them. You don't have to deal with them anymore. Let me tell you something. That's beautiful. Not having to talk with a manager, a Jewish manager, or a Jewish agent, or a Jewish film producer. I was like, well, what's your angle? What do you got complaints about white people? Oh, you do? Okay, great. We like you. Are you demoralizing to people besides Jews? Fantastic. We'll pump it out. We like what you're making. Oh, you like white people? Okay. Well, we're not gonna put that record out. We're not gonna put that movie out. Okay. Well, fuck you. AI, robots. We got robots now. I know that's probably not the good news you were hoping for. And I'm guessing one or two of you are going to listen to this going, oh, I knew it, Merkley. He's just he's on their team. He's pushing AI. I can't believe it. Next thing you know, he's going to be pushing for having a brain implant. Well, I already did that. I already did that in another episode where I thought if I lose control of my legs and there's a brain implant that can make me move my legs again, I'll consider it. I'll read the reviews. But yeah, there you go. We got things to deal with in our own backyards. We don't need to be freaked out about. We don't need to buy it when it's fun to watch the crime videos, but every time you watch a crime video, just try to remind yourself that the government is already assisting suicide. They're already licensing and promoting abortion. They're already running a death industry, whether it be the prisons and, they're already throwing thousands and thousands of wonderful white people into the meat grinder in Ukraine and in Russia. you know? But that's far away. The real part is that you probably have a nurse or a doctor in your family who during 2020 and 2021, 2022, they just injected people with ingredients that they didn't know anything about because their bosses told them to, you know? And they did that. And worse, they did the protocol of remdesivir intubation, which pretty much every single time ended in death. And they did that over and over again. I have sisters that probably did that. You know, I don't want to ask them. They don't want to talk about it. But over and over again, somebody came in going, I don't know, I think I got COVID. Well, remdesivir, organ shut down, intubation, death. You know, nobody died from COVID outside of a hospital. If you wanted to die from COVID, you had to go to the hospital. And there were thousands of dancing TikTok nurses that were happily just did what they were told, you know, injected people with unknown poisons, with remdesivir and intubation, and the people died needlessly. And, you know, it doesn't make as great of a YouTube video, I guess, but I mean, I look at that guy on that scary video that I watched today, and I think my sisters are probably responsible for, I don't even like thinking about it, but you know what I mean? Intubation. I know one of them specifically talked about intubating somebody, and that didn't happen without remdesivir first. That was the protocol. So they're so confident, and they're so, whatever it is that drives these nurses and these doctors and these authoritarians, the people that screamed at you to wear a mask. And, you know, even now when we see people dropping dead, my friend Jared Jennings, second best friend from high school, he dropped dead, you know, a few days after his vaccination. He was like, had superhero body, went to the gym all the time, totally in shape. He had great DNA. His dad died in his 90s. His mom, I think, was still kicking when he died in her 90s. But just because he bought into the protocol, he thought, oh, the government's great. Oh, they wouldn't recommend this if it wasn't good. Oh, why would? Well, my bosses, the drug companies, they're all good. They're all good, you know? Meanwhile, watching all the creepy videos. Oh, but this guy's bad. This guy's bad. Oh, watch it. Have you seen Explore With Us? Meanwhile, our own families, our own neighbors are participating in a huge death machine. Nobody's talking about how many people are dropping dead of things resulting from their vaccines and their boosts. You know? Our friends and neighbors that are having abortions, we're talking about the guy on the YouTube video, and we know people that have had 5 abortions. I consider those people mass murderers. If you murder 5 fetuses, you're psychotic. You know, I think it's bad if you do it even once for one abortion. But a lot of those are repeat customers. So, you know, it's funny that we get distracted by these horror stories without even realizing we're just blind to the horror stories that are in our own families, in our own neighborhoods, you know? Support Ukraine, support Ukraine. Just death, carnage. Just support it? Wait, support the Jewish guy throwing all the white people into the meat grinder? Yeah, no, I'm not going to support that. I'm not going to support abortion. I'm not going to support the gas, government-assisted suicide, just killing white people needlessly because they had a bad day that they created. Hey, you guys suck. You're Nazis. You're terrible. White people are the worst. Well, man, you really depressed me. Oh, you're depressed? Well, how about euthanasia? We can take care of that. Thanks. I think I'm just going to go watch murder videos on YouTube instead. Anyway, don't lose hope. We're figuring this shit out. People are waking up. They're seeing it. Finally, we're talking about it. You know, yes, my sister's son basically called her a Nazi yesterday and almost made her cry. And my nurse sisters, the ones who probably have assisted in the deaths of many. I watched my sister assisting my dad off the planet. You know, of course you could say, oh, she's helping. She's helping. I still can't remember the name of that drug. Somebody will remind me. Anyway, we're waking up. Things are going to get better. We have to turn it around. And I just want to remind you to be nice to white people. Okay? Go out of your way. Even if they're one of the mean white people like my sisters. I'm giving advice to myself right now. I don't know if I can take it, but if you see a white person, just remember, they have been damaged for many, many years. Their whole lives they've been fed this nonsense about how they're terrible. And so just try to cut them some slack and try to favor them. You know? Look out for them. Especially, just don't pile on extra abuse. Anyway, thanks for listening. Unnecessary outro song to totally waste more